When you think about it, almost everything we buy connects us to this huge, global flow of money. We call it foreign investment. Now, some people will tell you it's the engine of progress, the thing that lifts whole countries out of poverty. But then you hear others say it's just a new kind of colonialism, a trap that leads to ruin. So what's the real story? Well, the truth is, it's a double-edged sword. And today, we're going to figure out how a country can wield that sword without getting cut. This quote from James Forrestal right after World War II feels like it could have been written yesterday. He knew that a stable economy and a peaceful world are basically two sides of the same coin. And when you look at all the tensions in the world today, you realize just how right he was. Understanding how money moves across borders isn't just for economists. It's absolutely essential for figuring out the forces that are shaping our lives right now.
So you've got these two totally opposite narratives, right? In one corner, you've got leaders giving these fiery speeches pointing at foreign-owned factories and calling them symbols of exploitation. And in the other corner, you have economists with all their charts and graphs insisting this is the only way to grow. So, who's right? Well, as we're about to see, the reality is way more complicated than either side likes to admit.
Okay, to really get to the bottom of this, here's our game plan. We'll start with the Great Debate. Then we'll break down the two main kinds of capital you need to know about. After that, we'll look at the incredible upside, the growth in jobs, and then the really serious downside, all the risks. And finally, we'll lay out a national playbook for how to do this right.
Right. So before we can even begin to talk about whether this sword builds things up or tears them down, we have to understand what it's made of. See, not all foreign investment is created equal. There are two very different types, and honestly, telling them apart is the key to this entire puzzle.
Let's break this down. First, you got Foreign Portfolio Investment, or FPI. Think of this like a tourist. They show up, spend some money, enjoy the sights, but they can pack up and leave in an instant. That's why people call it hot money. Then you have Foreign Direct Investment, or FDI. This is more like someone who moves to the city, buys a house, and starts a business. They're in it for the long haul. And that difference, it is absolutely critical.
And even that long-term commitment, that FDI, comes in two main flavors. Greenfield is when a foreign company builds something totally new, from the ground up. Think Apple and Foxconn setting up brand new factories in India. Brownfield is when they buy or expand a company that's already there, like when Walmart bought the Indian company Flipkart. Both are long-term plays, but they affect the local economy in really different ways.
So, let's start with the good stuff. Why do governments practically roll out the red carpet for foreign companies? What's the dream scenario they're all chasing?
Well, the potential upside is huge. I mean, you're talking about a flood of new cash coming in, building factories, and creating tons of jobs. But it's about so much more than just money. This investment can bring in cutting-edge technology and modern ways of doing business. It can kickstart a country's exports, make it cheaper for local businesses to get loans, and even help pay for the roads, ports, and power plants a country needs to function.
And if you want to see this done right, look no further than East and Southeast Asia. Take South Korea. They started out just assembling simple electronics for foreign companies. But here's the key. They didn't stop there. They learned, they adapted, and pretty soon they were designing their own products. Now they're global tech giants. That journey from assembly to design, that's the dream. That's what climbing the value chain really means.
But remember, this is a double-edged sword, and the other edge is razor sharp. For every success story, there's another country that got badly hurt. So now we have to look at the dark side of this equation and why just one wrong move can lead to total disaster.
The risks are almost a perfect dark mirror of the rewards. Instead of creating prosperity for everyone, you can end up with these shiny, isolated factories surrounded by poverty. Foreign companies can be like an invasive species, choking out small, local businesses before they even have a chance. And in the worst cases, it just becomes a way to suck profits and resources out of the country, leaving nothing behind but corruption and a damaged environment.
The single biggest danger, though, comes from that hot money we talked about, the FPI. Because it's all just numbers on a screen, it can vanish in the blink of an eye. Think of a country's economy as a car speeding down the highway. A sudden stop is when that hot money slams on the brakes without warning, sending the whole car spinning out of control. And this is how it happens, how the dream turns into a nightmare. It starts with a little bit of bad news, maybe a rumor. Investors get nervous and they all rush for the exit at once, pulling their money out. That causes the local currency to crash, and all those foreign loans that seemed manageable before, suddenly the debt skyrockets and it becomes impossible to pay back. It's a chain reaction that can absolutely wreck an economy in a matter of weeks.
And this is not just a theory. The financial crises that ripped through Latin America and parts of Asia were absolutely devastating. We're talking about millions and millions of people losing their jobs, their life savings, everything. These crises are a painful, real-world reminder of just how high the stakes are.
So, the big question is, how does a country get the benefits of this powerful tool without getting burned? Well, it all comes down to having a smart, strategic plan. Let's walk through the playbook for how to do it right.
All right, here is the single most important principle. You don't attract the right kind of investment by just offering the biggest tax breaks. You don't win by being the cheapest. You win by being the best. That means building a skilled workforce, reliable infrastructure, and stable institutions. Quality attracts quality. It's that simple.
So this is what a smart strategy really looks like. It's proactive, not passive. First, you have to decide what you actually want to achieve as a country. Then, you make sure foreign investors are actual partners in that vision, not just there to extract value. You have to carve out some protected space for your own local industries to grow, and you build strong financial defenses to protect against those sudden shocks. And through it all, you stay in the driver's seat, making sure every deal actually benefits your people.
And this brings us to the real endgame. The point isn't just to get a quick temporary bump in GDP. The real goal is something called structural transformation. The best way to think about it is this. You're not just hiring a tutor to help you pass one test. You're learning how to learn so you can solve any problem that comes your way in the future. That's what this is about, building the deep, lasting capability to create your own prosperity.
So, when you put it all together, which kind of investment should a country go after? Well, it all comes back to your goals. If what you need are jobs, technology transfer, and new industries, then you want to favor that long-term foreign direct investment. If you just need to lower your borrowing costs, then sure, you can welcome some foreign portfolio investment, but only if you have those ironclad financial safeguards in place to protect yourself.
This quote just nails it. It really sums up the entire playbook. The idea isn't to build a wall and shut out foreign money. No, it's about opening the door, but making it clear that you're the one who sets the rules of the house. The power has to stay with the host nation.
So what's the bottom line here? Foreign investment can be an incredible bridge to a better future, one with higher productivity and better jobs for everyone. But any bridge needs a solid foundation and a very clear blueprint. Without that smart national plan, that bridge can easily collapse and take the hopes of a nation down with it.
So I'll leave you with this to think about. When we're judging whether foreign investment has been a success, should we be counting the dollars that flow in, or should we be measuring the knowledge and the skills that are left behind for good? What's the true measure of progress?